Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear? Ooh, can you-
Okay. Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Good. I was having technical difficulties and I'm like, God dang it. Like,
Oh no. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was like, did I send the right link? I just sent you another
you
one. So
did.
disregard it
You
if you
did.
if you just got another one.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. My little one wanted to say hello. The other
Oh,
co-author, Lena, come on. First she was coming trying to peek, and then she sat down on the plane, so she's about to come. But yes, happy Sunday. Yes,
wow. What? Happy Sunday.
awesome. Here, girl, you can say hello. Say hi.
Hi. How are you?
She said, "How are
How are
you?"
you? Good. It's so nice to meet you.
All right, go play, girl. It's so funny. It's like first they act like they really want to do it, and then finally we put them on the camera, like, "Hi, it's okay." Exactly right.
I feel like I'm the same way. I eat while we're doing this.
No worries. But yes, I'm excited to interview you.
Yay.
It is a pleasure. And then I also checked out your interview from yesterday. Amazing
You did.
job. Yeah, so
Thank
I try
you.
not to overlap my questions. So I'm trying to come up with some unique ones. So
Okay.
wonderful. Okay, well, I guess I'll get started. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
let's see. Should I introduce
So,
myself or yeah?
yeah, I was about to say, introduce yourself, introduce your book, tell me about you, because this is going to be on my YouTube anyway. And then, because that's what we're practicing is exposure. And then we'll get into me,
Okay.
so on and so forth.
Perfect. Alrighty. Well, hello. My name is Brittany Anthony. I am the co-author with my 6-year-old daughter Leela Brown of "Is There a Princess Like Me," which is just a book empowering young girls, African American girls, and just kind of sharing some unique stories about different princesses that kind of look more like us that we can relate to. So um, after kind of doing a lot of searches on books like this and also just seeing the princesses in the media currently, there's not too many that look like us. So definitely wanted to, bridge that gap and create a really heartfelt, family oriented, inspiring book for young children and adults will love it as well. So yes, I have the pleasure of interviewing Dollyah today, and I am excited to learn more about your books, your experiences, and yes, just get to know you more.
Yes. Well, hi, my name is Dollyah Deering. I am the owner of and author of Fawn Fables Books. It is my children's book brand that I have started. I'm actually wearing one of my shirts. I'm gonna have merch. There's a lot of little, big stuff. I have to learn to say big stuff up on the horizon. But I'm just really happy to be here, meeting you also at the beginning of your journey. And I'm thinking like a year, 2 years, whoever knows how long from now this relationship lasts. We're like, man, look where we started. So, but yes, very, very excited to answer questions and get practice with explaining and promoting my brand.
Wonderful. Yes. I'm so happy that we're networking. And yes, I look forward to continuing to build our friendship and relationship throughout the year. So this is
Yes.
awesome. And hopefully in a few months you'll be interviewing me once our book is
Yes.
published.
Yes.
So she'll
Yes.
be my
Yes. Yes.
illustrator
Yes.
putting the final touches on everything.
Yay.
So okay, I will get started. So when did you realize you wanted to be a writer? And was there anything that inspired you to write that first book?
Um, the so I've always written. I think that I realized that I wanted to be a writer. Well, when I was younger, I had promised my grandmother that I was going to publish a book anyway, and she ended up passing. And so the more that I thought about it, it was just one of those things that I was going to do in life. It was like eventually in life, I'm gonna publish a book. And I had started to just make a transition in my life. Some things were going on, and you just get to a point in life, and you look around, and you're like, "This ain't it. Like, I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I'm not where I want to be. At least I did." And so I started reading the book, Think and Grow Rich.
Mhm.
And once I read Think and Grow Rich, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the more I read books, that kind of just pumped into me. You need to do things that are use your gifts, use the diamonds that you have. I knew that writing was not something was something that I definitely did well. So I was like, I need to go ahead and embark on this. And so I just started looking in how to write a children's book. And at first I was completely overwhelmed and I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. But eventually I was like, why not? You know? So I started.
Wonderful. Awesome. So what's your childhood favorite book? Your favorite childhood book?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So my first childhood book that holds a lot of love for me, like with me, is actually Amazing Grace. My grandmother read it to me all the time. And then after that, I really love Dr. Seuss books. I'm very big on those. I'm really big on Dr. Seuss books. So those are the things that my favorite book from him is Horton Hears a Who. I really like that one. Yertle the Turtle is always my thing because I always thought that I was like Yertle. So lots and lots of Dr. Seuss books. The Lorax is also a favorite character of mine. I went to school and I was a Lorax often for Halloween. So he was very influential in me becoming a writer and being one of my influences. Maya Angelou as well, Mother Goose, all that kind of thing. And I always, say that. And so, but definitely my favorite book would start off with Amazing Grace because my grandmother read that to me. And at that time, if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure there were so many other little Black girl books. She was one of the most prevalent, if you know that book, for Black girls. And so my grandma read it to me all the time. And that was really inspiring.
Wow, I'm gonna go look into that one. And then the
Yeah.
turtle one as well. I have so many Dr. Seuss books, but I haven't read the turtle one. So
Yes,
I'm
Yertle the Turtle. That is me. That is my personality. I think once you read it, you be like, I get it.
gonna get it. I'm gonna
Like,
like,
but
okay, I
yeah,
get it. Yep, it makes sense now.
yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Yes. Well, let you added some more books to my list to get. So wonderful. So I love your website. Took a look at that, looked throughout it. Amazing job. Um,
Thank you.
I saw that there were three core principles of your writing that you had, and I was thinking, how did you come up with those?
Um, to be fair, those are kind of the three things because I wanted to figure. When we start off, we have so much you want to say. I want, and at first I start off saying, I always say black girls, or black women, or black, and I want you to know that I am all inclusive. But I knew that I would be best at telling my perspective of life, and so a lot of times I do have come from that, from what I understand from my culture's perspective. And one of the things I had to do was say, even though I wanted so many people to do so many things, I was like, find three core things that is consistent in what you believe and what you're trying to drive in. And that's how I came up with my three core principles.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Well, I got to read Brown with the Crown and also Worth the Wood. I love them. I promise you,
Yay!
I got an Amazon order coming. I
Yay!
purchased both. So amazing job. I cannot wait to read this. I have my daughter read it to me. She's reading it now. So excited about
Yes,
those. But what was the inspiration behind both? I guess you could start with both. And then also, I love the questions at the end too to just keep the conversation going. Like your approach is
yes.
so creative and unique. So
Thank
sorry, I'm a
you.
fan.
Thank you. And that is like, man, I'm telling you, that is what this is about. And the biggest thing is, so Brown with the Crown was actually inspired by my niece. I have a niece and she likes to go to school, but she's very much, if she's not going her way, then she pouts. She can't. And so a lot of times she just has, everybody has those different kids that just has that personality that if there's something that can go wrong, my kid's gonna find it. And
Right.
so she is one of those kids that starts off with a great day and just circumstances are just gonna not present itself for her to win for one reason or another at times. And she has to be creative. And a lot of times she struggles with getting over that. It becomes like if it's not gonna come my way, then I'm upset about it and I'm gonna pout. And so, but if you help push her past that, she can see how it, she can go forward. And so I looked at that. She actually was having some challenges and things were happening at school, and I wrote this book for her. And initially, I was gonna name it after her. And would you believe it? When I read it to her, she was like, "I don't want my name in that book. I want a different book. I want a different type of book." So I ended up changing it.
Sure. Okay.
But to be fair, she is the true inspiration behind that character, regardless if she wants to be or not.
Right.
And she's six. She's six. So
My
that's
little one is it sounded like I'm like, this sounds just like my daughter. They just have a mind of their own and they just yes.
own personality.
Yes.
Definitely has her own personality. So yes.
Beautiful. Oh, I love that. And then I heard a little bit about kind of behind the scenes of Worth the Wood yesterday during your interview, but if you'd like to
Yes.
share a little bit of the inspiration behind that.
Yeah. Lumberjack, again, it came from a saying that I say to staff members and people who work for me. And I just feel like I want people to know that they're worth the wood. And in a day and an age where everything is instant, everything is microwaves, you've got Instagram, everything is about how fast we can get things. There's not a lot of persistence, or there's not a lot of people wanting to go the distance for what they want. And I just wanted people to remember that you chop a tree down for however long it takes because it's worth the wood. That's the purpose of us doing it. And you don't want to get yourself in a position where you're chopping trees that are doing the small, quick ones, but you got to be right back out chopping again because you're not willing to say, hey, this one's big enough and it's worth that wood. And so I wanted that to come alive in this book. And initially, like I said, I love the response that I got from it from people, because I kept thinking to myself when I first wrote it, believe it or not, I was like, this isn't a good book. This isn't saying anything. This isn't capturing what I wanted to say. But the more people that read it, the more people that reach out to me, they're like, that is actually the principle. I love this one. And I'm like, oh, okay, I did a thing.
Yes, it is deep. It's no, it's amazing. Yes. Powerful. Yes.
So yeah,
Beautiful.
that's it.
Great. Okay, so why do you think it's important for children to develop a love for reading?
Man, because there's a lot of knowledge that is in books, correct? We know this, right? Learning is important. I think, first of all, as long as somebody's alive, they should be learning. That's important to me. The other thing is, unfortunately, with marketing, or I don't want to say unfortunately, but with marketing, people typically like to serve and give out what is attractive, what is quote unquote sexy, you know? And so what's going to happen is there's a lot of books that have a lot of history on a lot of stuff that could keep us from making some of the same mistakes. But because those aren't the sexier tales, because those aren't the most attractive things, they probably aren't going to be remade into audiobooks. They're not going to be remade into magazines. They're not going to be made chewable for kids. And so that knowledge, unless you're really seeking it and you have the discipline to read it, you won't get it. In addition to the fact that if you've ever watched a book, watched a movie made from a book, the book is totally different from the movie, and it gives you a lot more detail and insight into what the true message is. And so I just don't want reading to become a lost art, and I personally am a fan of audiobooks. I audiobook all day and read. But I definitely want kids to have a love and relationship for reading, because it is been statistically linked to their love for learning. And so reading is something we can control at a very early age for them, to get them to make that bridge, that leap into having a love for learning, and then having that love for learning strong enough to where they don't feel like, oh, being smart's not cool, and they back away from it. So hopefully that all makes sense. I just feel like it's the core, it's the beginning. Give them the tools to figure out what they want, and don't let them be limited because they're not willing to read. Yeah.
Definitely. I love it. Good answer. So in your opinion, what do you think makes a good story?
Oh man. Um, I think a good story is made when it is relatable to whoever the direct market is, and also when it allows you to know that you could to be the victor in whatever your story is. So I'm not saying that to say, everybody has that, but it's not true. There's a lot of times that people have books and you read them and they're entertaining, but it's not necessarily something that it could be realistic to you, or you could be put in that position and this is what you could do, or you could glean from that. I think a good story tells somebody, hey, here's what I did, but you have this same characteristic in you, and here's how you develop that characteristic. And so I don't know. I think in the short, I think a good story is a how to. Does that make sense? Almost like a light direction into how to do something if you want to be successful. Yeah.
Perfect. Wonderful. And so what is your writing process like? I know you kind of shared a little bit about that yesterday, but you capitalize
It
on
is
that.
nutty. It is very nutty. It's not for the faint of heart if you're around me. But I love it. I love it. I've learned not to limit myself. I mean, I don't need to be carried away in a loony bin, but I do give myself creative freedom to see and imagine and to really immerse myself into what it is I'm trying to write. I really try to embody that character. I don't have to dress up per se. Sometimes I do put on random stuff, whatever. I need to be comfortable. But I do try to really put myself in that character's position, go through it, feel it, and then write it. And a lot of times, people are like, you're not writing movies, you're just writing kids' books. But you don't realize that being an adult, there's sometimes it's hard for us to see things from a kid's perspective.
Right.
And so you do have to immerse yourself. You do have to kind of shed that skin of maturity and um really write, because there's sometimes that as adults there's things that I wish a kid understood, so I'll write it. But you look at it, it's not in kid language. Kids
Mhm.
don't think like that. That's not how they talk. So it's like
Yes.
you need to dumb it down. You need to kind of shed that skin. And so for me, that is the first part of the process. I have found that my process also includes multiple canvas. I don't know why that's so inspiring. I need to see a blank sheet of paper and I need to go from there and get momentum. And then I need to go to my phone and
Mhm.
be writing a note, and then need to go from my phone to my computer. And then it's very moving around, like it moves
Mhm.
around. And sometimes the end of my story is what comes first. I'll hear an ending and I'm like, oh, that's perfect. I don't know where it's coming from, but that's
Mhm.
that's what I hear. So it can be all over the place. And if you looked at my notes, you'd be like, there's no way that a book came from that. But it did. So that's definitely my process. Oh, and snacks and
Mhm.
fuel. I need to be fed. I can't be hangry. I have to be in a position where I've got food and water. Because I used to need to like do a little wine and stuff. No, I don't
Mhm.
really need that. I can do water, whatever. But I just need to have things that I can get to kind of like eat.
Yep, nibble on. Yes. All of that for me with some coffee.
Yeah.
Need my coffee gives my energy. Wonderful. On average, how long does it take you to write a book?
It's funny you ask that. Some books are months because I've been writing pieces of it, stanzas of it, thoughts on it forever. And then there's other books I can sit, like Stony the Vegan.
Mhm.
I was with somebody and they told me an idea of that's why it's a collaboration. I can't never get it out. Um, and she was talking to me, and then I just sat there in front of her, and she was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm writing it." She was like, "Okay." And she was cooking because she's a chef. And by the time she was done, I was like, "Listen to this." And I had written the book. And she was like, "You just sat there and wrote that?" I was like, "That's what came out." Like,
That's
I was like,
incredible.
I was like, "Does that sound like a thing?" She was like, "Sound like a thing to me." I was like, "Then we got a
Yeah.
book." Like,
Right. Let's get it published. That's awesome.
that
Wow.
was it. Then we went. That's how it went.
That is amazing. Cool. So okay, what's the most surprising thing that you've discovered while writing your books?
I have discovered, which I kind of knew before, but now I really know, is that when you're writing books, you are just a vessel, if that makes sense. Like, I know it sounds a little weird, but like those characters that are coming alive, that's exactly what's happening. Your imagination is literally a sleeping giant, and you'll be surprised who you are and what's waiting back there if you just open it up and remove some of the barriers. And so the biggest things is discovering just how deep my imagination goes and how much of my mind on a regular I don't, not only do I not use, but I also kind of quiet and like, what's the word, like kind of, I don't know, stifle,
Mhm.
because it doesn't fit in my everyday life. Like the freedom and the fun for me as a creative, that I get in writing books and developing characters, oh my gosh, it feels like life. And it's like, why didn't I? It's like I've been starving, but I didn't know what food was, so I couldn't tell that's what it was. And so that's how it's been for me, and I really appreciate it.
Um, okay, so I know we kind of talked about this a little bit, but I want to hear from you. What makes your books unique, and why should readers read your book?
Man, let me say this. There's so many books in the world, and I have such anxiety, i.e., again, while we're doing this, about saying my books are different, my books, you know what I mean? So that is a question that is hitting in a very sensitive spot for me. However, um, I will say that I rhyme in all my books right now, and I can do short stories and other things, but rhyming is kind of my thing. And I never said this on camera before, but I will share with you. My true goal is to be a Black female Dr. Seuss. That's what I'm trying to do.
I love it.
And so I really, and it's hard to say that out loud because it's a big goal, but it's definitely what my goal is. I want to have books that rhyme. I want to have a dynasty of things. I want to have cartoons. There's so many things that he did that I was like, yeah, I definitely want to have that for myself from my perspective. Um, so with that in mind, I think I write from that point of view when I write my book. From my first book to the last, I'm writing with this end goal that I can see in my head. Like, I'm really hoping that in the future, 20 years from now, when we definitely have that full metaverse and places that people can like venture into virtual reality wise, that I have a space for all my readers to meet and kind of have avatars and they hang out and they can do and be in Fawn Fables, land. And that's kind of where I'm going. So
That is incredible.
yeah.
Yes. Again, you have a fan out of me. Any
Thank you.
advice that you have for a writer that's working on their first book?
Do it. It's so cliche, but do it. I think the biggest thing that I would tell a writer is just write it.
Mhm.
Like
Right.
you're gonna find out from a lot of people that should I write a book? You question yourself, you compare your book to other people. That's a part of the process. It's natural. Go through it and then do it. Like still do it, still
Yeah.
write it. But when you do it, wholeheartedly do it. Don't just write a book, put it out there, and be like, well, I put it out there. I mean, when you commit to something, you commit to it. Now that you've done it, stand on it. Say it out loud, wear it. That's why I force myself. It's like I wear my stuff, I pub my stuff because I have to stay in the mindset and continue to condition myself that this dream will never manifest unless I believe, unless I stay in it. So, yeah, I can say out loud that I'm nervous. I can tell you that I need help in this area. I'm going to be honest about my flaws, but you're still going to see me moving forward. You're
Right.
still going to see me doing it. I have a lisp and I have to read to children with a gap. That is the scariest thing in the world. But I'm going to do it. And I say that
Yes.
because kids are like, she's missing a tooth. And it's like, that's not what's happening.
Right. But there's other children that may have gaps so they can relate and feel, like she's like me. My dad has a gap, and it's just like I love it. So I understand. So
you, yeah.
yes, I
So
get what
that's
you're
my
saying.
advice. Do it.
Yes, just
Do it.
ain't nothing to it but to do it. I understand,
Yes.
and I just feel like
Yes.
you're an inspiration to all. Yes.
Mhm. Girl, those type of words are big. I'm like, man, stop saying that.
Wonderful. Okay, my last question. This is a good one.
Okay.
Are you working on on anything at the present moment that you would like to share with your readers? You want to share some new projects or books?
Listen, I am definitely working on three different books that may change. But one of them is almost finished, so I'm sure it's going to be what it is. But one of the ones I'm very excited I'm working on right now is called Bad Math. I think Bad Math is going to come out next. So when that one comes out, I'm really, really, really excited to share that one. And it's just about logic. It's about thinking. And this kid discovers because they hear their dad say, that's bad math. And they're young and they're learning math. And I'm like, can math be bad? And they learn that what their dad explains that what they're saying is it's not good logic. You're still working something out, but your end result is not going to be based on how you equated that. That didn't make sense. I won't be using words as big. And so after that, this kid is definitely on this rampage to never do bad math. Like, and they're going to tell people up front, like, to give you more than what I have is just simply to me bad math. And I'm not going to do that. And so you'll see them saying that. And the whole point is to help the reader then, keep that in their head like, hey, work things out for yourself. Did that make sense?
Mhm.
And if it's not good math, That ain't what we about to do.
I know that's right. Keep me posted when that drops because I need to share that with my little ones. Most definitely.
So that is what the next one is supposed to be. And then
Ooh.
of course, my main signature character, Doe the deer. I cannot forget her. I'm still building her. She is gonna be my cartoon. I know she's gonna be my cartoon. I'm building her brothers. She's got two brothers actually. So Buck is the next one that's gonna come out, and his poem will be out, so you can get to know his personality. And then the last one is Cal. So it's really her mom's name is Abby. So it's Abby, Buck, Cal, and Doe. ABCD is
I
how that
love
works.
it. Oh, you're
So
just your
yeah,
mind is so creative.
you'll learn all that eventually. But yeah, there's a few things. And then I've got baby books coming out. So I'll be doing a 1, 2, 3 and ABC kind of book as well. So just different things for my readers, and then some low content books like journals,
Ooh,
activity books, coloring books.
perfect.
So all these things are on the horizon for end of 2021, and then of course 2022.
Perfect. Wow, you are doing the darn thing, girl. I am so excited for you.
Thank you.
Yes, well, it was
So
a pleasure to, interview you. Do you
yes.
have any?
And then we will be setting up your interviews
Yes,
coming up. I'm very excited. And have your little one with you as well so
will
she can,
do.
yeah.
Yes, so she can share a little more. I'm gonna give her some candy so she can be up on the sugar. She'll be full of
She
energy.
literally told, she was like, mm-hmm. I was like, oh,
This girl, I don't know. I don't know. Can't. Again, these 6-year-olds have a mind of their own. Can't even.
yes. I love it though. That's what you want. You want to know that she's not gonna be,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's about. So you're doing an awesome job. So that's
Thank
great.
you. I
But
appreciate
thank you so much. I love this practice. I'm all over the place at times. I'm very, very excited. So I'm trying to learn how to hone that in. But thank you for being a part of this journey with me. I will be posting it. Send me anything that you want me to add to the clip or
it.
post or link, so that as it continues to grow, and we're praying that it grows and it gets bigger, more people can click your book, click your page, follow you, and reach out and say, let's network, because that's what this is about. So.
Most definitely. And I'll be sharing it too to my network. And yes, I'm excited. Well, thank you, Dollyah. It was a pleasure. And yes, we'll be in touch soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.